history of Paterculus. In the subsequent time, a great force of Greek youths, from or by an abundance of men at their home, were seeking seats or houses. They flooded themselves into Asia. For also the Iones, having set out with their leader Ion from the ablative Athens, occupied most noble or well-known parts of the maritime regions, which today are called Ionia, and they constituted or founded cities. Blah, blah, blah. And many they occupied in the Aegean and whatever this other place is. Some islands that I mentioned there. Samumcium, Andrium, Tenum, Parum, Delius, and these are the unknown or the lesser known ones, the ignoble ones. And soon the Aeolians set out from the same Greece. I think that's non-minus. And in some very long wanderings, which is errors, in their actions, not less did they find some illustrious places, and they founded some famous cities, which are these ones, and other herbs, which are in the island Lesbos. 5. Dende. Then the most clarissimum ingenium, the genius of Homer, it shone out. Let's say superlative. He was the maximum. His ingenium was the maximum, without example, who, with his magnitude of work, the book he wrote, and by the fulgor of his poetry, the shiningness, he deserved alone to be called a poet, in which, not a maximum, and he's the greatest at this poetry thing, for neither before him nor after him was there someone who could imitate him. So before there was no one who had imitated him, and who after him no one was able to imitate. He was found, it says here, they found the works, or he himself did this anyway. Neither was there anyone other in the accusative. He was the primus author of the work, and so he was the primus one, nor was there any other one in this so perfect. Here's the accusative again. Besides, we find, I think that's Homer, and we find Homer and Archie blah blah blah, whoever that is. Is that what the lobe says? Let me just check here. Homer and Archiolocus. Okay, yeah. So there he is anyway. Him, rather longer or further from the time of the Trojan War, which he composed or wrote about, as certain people think. So he lived further back from the period of time than people rent or think. Abfuit, which means he was away. That's why this is a little clause there. All right, so rentor, reor, think, regard, deem, suppose, believe, reckon. And there's all the imperfects, perfects, etc. Okay, where was I? For almost, it was 950 years ago, you might want to say, he flourished. He was born inside of 1,000 years before us. So it's not to be surprising at this name by him that he often usurped or used the words men of our age or something. For this is the difference, which is noted, notator the differentia, of men, thus of the ages. So it's not only the difference of the men of the time, but of the ages or the era. C quiz, going for the nominative. If there's someone who thinks him was born blind, he is bereft from all of his senses. In the ensequenting time, the following time, the Asiatic Imperia went from the Assyrians, who had obtained 1,007 and blah 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 years ago. This was transferred, this imperium, to the Medes then, who almost ago 870 years ago had it. So it's just a listing of power transferring and the years it did it. Quippy sense. The king of these people, Sardanapalum, it's in the accusative. He was fluent in his softness. He was very soft, and he had excess luckiness in his bad times. In the 3rd and 30th place, 33rd place from these two people who had founded Babylon in a lineage here. He was born. Thus there was also always a successor of a son of the father being the king for 33 generations. Here's some normatives. Abacus the Mede deprived him of his imperium and his life. I don't think that's a sense. It must just be a certainly or something. 3. In this age, a very famous Lycurgus, a Spartan Lacedaemonian of a Greek name, or with a Greek name. He was a vir, which is a man of royal gens. He was an author of the laws, very just and severe, and disciplines very fitting for a man. Of as long as the Spartans were diligent of this cuius, of this law, they flourished very highly, excellissime. 4. In this tract of time, before there's 5 and 60 years before the Roman city was founded by Elisa the Tyrian, or which some people call Dido, Carthage was founded.